Hey guys, welcome back to Hike Oregon, and thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers here on YouTube. I just hit 10,000 subscribers a couple of weeks ago, so I thought I'd do a 10,000 subscriber question and answer video. I haven't actually done a subscriber Q&A since my 7,000 subscriber question and answer video, and then I did a Q&A at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019 to kind of start off the year and end off 2018. So that is the last time I did a Q&A, so that was about 4 months ago. So I have a lot of new subscribers since then, so thank you so much for joining the Hike Oregon family. And if you haven't joined the Hike Oregon family, make sure to click that subscribe button and also the little bell notification, because YouTube is weird and doesn't actually tell you that I've uploaded a new video unless you click that bell. Also, before we get started, make sure to follow me over on Instagram. That's where you'll see all the pictures I post from all of my awesome adventures that I go on every week. And if you're interested in hiking here in this lovely state of Oregon, check out my website, hikeoregon.net. So I have a ton of questions for this Q&A, so let's get into it.
Nicole M. from Facebook asked a few questions. Do you have different shoes for different terrain? What camera do you use? Favorite day pack? Must-haves in your pack?
So I'm going to answer these 3 questions individually, and the first one was, do I have different shoes for different types of terrain? And the answer is no. I have different shoes for different seasons. So obviously I live in Oregon, so we have very wet winters and spring seasons. So I do wear boots for winter and spring. And then as soon as the trails and the weather gets a little more dried out, I do switch to trail runners because they're so much more comfortable. And I wear those through end of spring, summer, and fall as well. The next question was, what camera do I use? And that is this guy here. I just got it a couple of months ago. This is the Nikon D750 full frame camera DSLR. It's absolutely awesome. This lens is really versatile, and then I have a big zoom lens as well that I use that I actually just got a couple weeks ago, and I am absolutely in love with that. So this is my camera that I use. If you follow me over on Instagram, you'll see all the pictures that I take with this guy. So the other questions were favorite day pack and what is in my day pack. I actually have a full video on that, which I will link right here. You can kind of see what's in my day pack. I actually have 2 videos. I have one for what's in my day pack in the summer and what's in my day pack in the winter. Now, my favorite day pack has definitely been the Gregory Jade 28. I am currently on a different Gregory pack right now just because I wanted to try out something different, and I don't like it as much. It's still a decent pack, and I'm not gonna like throw it away or sell it quite yet. I will definitely use it throughout its life, and then I will go back to the Gregory Jade because I love that.
Kimberly K from YouTube asks, any plans for a thru hike? And what part of Germany are you from, and do you go back to visit?
So I got this question a lot. Plans for a thru hike? Not right now. I can see myself doing one eventually, but this is not the time in my life that I can do that. I have a full-time job. I have limited vacation. I am not in a financial position to quit my job. If I were, I would quit my job and do Hike Oregon full-time and not do a thru hike. I have the desire, but it's not quite strong enough yet for me to kind of push everything else in my life to the side and go do that. So not quite yet. My dad and my little brother want to do it in a few years when my brother graduates high school and my dad retires. So there is a possibility that when that rolls around that I will be totally open and ready to go do a thru hike, since that's going to be in like 6 years from now. So I think at that point, I can probably see myself doing that with them, or at least a very large portion. Oh, and then her other question was what part of Germany I'm from, and I am actually from East Germany. I was born in East Germany before the wall came down in a very, very small village. I'll try and show it on the map here if I can find it. So it's not on all maps. And then do I go back to visit? I do, but not often, just because it is so expensive and I just don't don't have a lot of vacation time, and really if you go over to Europe, you really want to stay for at least 2 weeks just because of the cost to get there, just to make it worthwhile. And that's like all the vacation I get a year. So it's kind of hard, but last time I was there was about 4 years ago.
Phil Laurie, 1061 from Instagram asks, how do you overcome insecurity hiking with others, such as afraid you can't go fast enough, etc.?
I don't have this happen to me a lot, just because I'm usually the one that leaves the people behind. So I'm not really a great person to answer this question, but it has happened to me a few times. I would just make sure to hike with people that are okay stopping and waiting for you. Don't feel bad about being slower. Honestly, I don't get annoyed when people are slower than me. I take a lot of photos and stuff anyway, so I'm constantly stopping anyway. So it's not like I'm stopping for 20 minutes waiting for somebody. I'm stopping, a few feet ahead of them, waiting, maybe taking a couple of pictures. It doesn't really annoy me at all. So I wouldn't really get concerned about it a whole lot. Maybe just try and find people that are more your speed. Obviously, if you're going with someone that's like a trail runner and they're like running ahead of you, yeah, that might not be a good fit. When we're climbing up really steep stuff, I'm definitely a little bit slower. I have gone with people that are just like ahead of me and having to wait for me, but I'm not like embarrassed by it or concerned that I'm annoying them. I kind of laugh it off sometimes, like, oh, I haven't been working out lately, haha, I'm kind of not in the best shape right now, or whatever. Like, it's not a big deal. Everyone is at a different level of hiking, and I wouldn't really be super concerned about it.
Karen T. from Facebook asked a question. Trekking poles, collapsible or adjustable, shock absorbing shaft, yes or no, aluminum, carbon fiber.
So I am not a huge trekking pole person, so I don't know if I can really answer your questions very well, just because I haven't tried a lot of them out and I don't use them that often. I only use trekking poles when I'm hiking up really steep mountains like South Sister or Diamond Peak, or like, when I'm really doing like a summit hike. Otherwise, I don't use trekking poles. Asked about collapsible versus adjustable. I definitely think the collapsible ones are better. The adjustable ones are not as sturdy, I have seen from other people. Now, I don't really have experience with that because I have a collapsible one, but I have seen from other people that the ones that slide in and out are just not as sturdy. And then the aluminum versus carbon fiber, that's going to be a weight difference and a price difference as well. So it really depends on what price point you want to be at and purchase trekking poles for. I know some of them are upwards of $200, but then of course you can get cheaper ones like at Costco for like $40. So it really depends on your price point.
Filming Life to Remember It from YouTube asks, what was a frightening moment hiking/camping? What are your short-term 4-year goals for hiking, travel, and education? Perhaps a speaking tour and outdoor clothing line?
My most frightening time hiking was probably when I did the Middle Fork Willamette Trail. I have this in another video that I can link. Basically, I was doing it solo, but I was gonna meet someone halfway because it was a 17-mile one way. So I was gonna meet someone halfway and get car keys, and they were gonna have a car at the end. However, it was early in the season, roads were closed, and we didn't know. They didn't even get to the end point, so they never got to meet me halfway and give me keys or anything. That story is very long, but that was really scary because there was no service or anything like that, and I was obviously not prepared to do 17 times 2, 34 miles. Yeah, that was very scary. I was basically mentally prepping myself to be camping outside in the rain that day, so that was scary. And then a 4-year goal. Goodness, that's hard. Right now I'm basically just focusing on selling my house and moving over to Central Oregon. In the next year, I want to buy a house and buy some land over there and then get that all built and situated, and then, goodness, 4 years. I mean, I want to do a ton of hiking. I would ideally like to be able to do Hike Oregon full time in the next 4 years. That's probably about it as far as like big goals. Clothing line, as you mentioned, probably not gonna happen. I know nothing about starting a clothing line, and that doesn't really interest me. I'm not huge on fashion, even if it's like hiking clothes, and I think everything that already exists out there is really awesome. For me, there's no real like pain points when it comes to buying hiking clothes. I don't feel like I need to like invent something that isn't already out there, which is why people come up with certain ideas. It's when they have a need for something and they see other people have a need for something, but it's not already out there. Kind of like with my book, 52 Hikes for 52 Weeks. I have never seen a book like that broken down by week and time of year and stuff, so I saw that there was a need, and so I created it. With hiking clothes, I don't really see that. I don't see that there's a need for something that doesn't already exist. I don't think there's a point in me just selling something that already is out there.
Deborah B. from Facebook asks, I'd like to know more information on inexpensive ways to go, yet not compromise myself with too cheap. I know, I get what you pay for. Things are way expensive. It makes it really hard to gear up properly for long or overnight hikes.
Yes, so I know hiking and backpacking stuff can be so expensive. I totally know what you're talking about. And just like getting all your gear started can be very overwhelming financially. But there are amazing things like Facebook Marketplace and just Facebook hiking groups in general, where often you'll see people selling their gear. And a lot of the time, I have actually never seen gear on there that's like ratty and old. Like, it's usually because someone got something new and now doesn't want to store their old backpack or has no need for 3 backpacks. So a lot of the time this gear is really still very good, and you can buy it for like less than half the price from people on Facebook Marketplace. There are a lot of groups on Facebook, hiking related, in the area where I see gear sold all the time. So I would maybe try that. And then also the REI scratch and dent sales are a very good deal. I have heard of people getting tents for like $25 just because, I don't know, it got returned for some weird reason, or someone just, you know, people return stuff just because they don't like it or it doesn't work for them, and then it ends up in those scratch and dent sales, and super cheap, right? Super cheap. Like for me, I returned my quarter dome 1 after using it twice. Nothing wrong with it, I just didn't like it. It didn't work for me, and that probably ended up in the scratch and dent sale for, I'm guessing, less than half the price. So you can get some really good stuff, almost brand new, sometimes brand new, just with the tags cut off, for less than half the price. I would start there. And yes, you definitely get what you pay for, like with certain brands. Don't buy like weird off-brand stuff that are trying to be like something else. Some of that stuff is okay, but it needs to be vetted. Don't just go on Amazon and buy whatever, because you'll likely be disappointed. I have tried a few things on Amazon that were okay. Some of it really was not. I wouldn't do that. I would definitely stick to, like, you know, the brands that you know, Osprey, Gregory, Thermarest, REI, those types of things, but try to get them used, or like I said, the scratch and dent sale.
Sonia C. from YouTube asked, what is the first fun thing you want to do once you move to Central Oregon?
The first thing I want to do when I move is, oh gosh, that's really hard, but probably eat at Sparrow Bakery. I love Sparrow Bakery. It's one of my favorite places. So that's probably one of the first things I want to go do. And then of course, you know, all the hikes that are on my list. So
Tanis Leach from YouTube asks, do you ever want to climb another high Cascade peak, 10,000 feet plus, other than South Sister? If so, which one?
I definitely want to continue climbing more high Cascade peaks, although there are only 2 that are higher than South Sister, and that is Jefferson and Mount Hood. And I don't think I plan on climbing either one of those, just because they are a little more dangerous. Well, Jefferson is very dangerous. I guarantee you I will never summit Jefferson. Mount Mount Hood is mountaineering, so you definitely have to have like mountaineering experience or go with some sort of guide, and that's just not my thing. I don't enjoy mountaineering per se. I don't really want to be like on crampons and like ice axing up this really steep icy slope that really actually terrifies me, so I don't think I will be climbing Mount Hood either. Who knows, a couple years down the line I might be like, yeah, let's do it, but right now definitely not. And every other mountain in Oregon is actually shorter than South Sister. But yeah, I do plan on climbing Middle Sister, plan on climbing Diamond Peak again. I really want to do Thielsen again, and Mount McLaughlin, Mount Bailey. So those are the main ones that I think I will be able to accomplish this upcoming summer and fall.
Peter from Patreon asks, what hike are you most looking forward to this year?
Oh, that's a tough one. What hike am I most looking forward to this year? That's really tough, but probably I would say the Timberline Loop, just because I was supposed to do it last year and didn't get to due to weather. It's been put off for a whole year, and before that I've been planning it for a year, so really it's been like a 2-year thing. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm so excited to do the Timberline Loop, and gosh, there are so many others that I'm just so excited about this year. Like, I have so many on my list that I'm just like, I can't wait to do those. But yeah, the Timberline Loop probably has been the most awaited hike.
Rod D from YouTube asked, what is your spirit animal?
I love this question so much because I do have a spirit animal. If you cannot guess, what do I look like? Can anyone guess? Guess right now. I will stop talking right now and you comment below. Guess what my animal is. Because it's kind of like, I kind of look like an animal. So if you think about like, you know, what has like bigger legs and kind of a schnoz. Okay, are you ready? Are you typing it? Did anyone guess moose? That's my spirit animal, the moose. I absolutely love moose. I call them meese for plural, meese. Moose are so awesome, and I kind of look like a moose. Can you see? Okay, moose. They have the schnoz. They have the like bigger legs, you know, like strong legs. Yeah, moose. That is my animal. They are so powerful and so awesome. And yeah, they might look a little weird, you know, they look a little funny, but you know, you don't underestimate them, because actually more people per year get killed from moose than grizzly bears. Like in Alaska, more people get killed by moose than grizzly bears. So don't underestimate the moose, even though it looks kind of silly.
Damien JR4923 from YouTube asks, how long have you been married? How did you guys meet? Do you plan on having kids in the future? Does your husband like hiking, and how come he is never in the videos?
So we have been married for 8 years this August. And how did we meet? We met in a choir class at the local community college here. Kids in the future, not anytime soon, but we would like to adopt somewhere down the road. And yes, he does enjoy hiking, and he is actually in quite a few videos. If you've been watching me throughout the years, he's been in many videos actually. Yeah, he enjoys hiking. He hikes with me probably once or twice a season. He has other hobbies that he enjoys, and I have a lot of hiking friends, so he definitely does not come with me all the time.
Julie S. from Instagram asks, what do you drive to get to your remote trailheads?
So I drive a 2016 Subaru Crosstrek. It was kind of my dream car. Before that, I had a Volvo station wagon 960 from 1996, so it was very old. And while I did put a lot of money and work into that car, I never felt like it was reliable because it was just old. And even though it got fixed up and everything, I was like, anything can go wrong with this. So I had on my little vision board my Crosstrek, and finally I was able to buy it for myself. That is the car I drive, and it's very reliable. It gets me to all the trailheads. However, I will say that there are definitely situations where I wish I did have more ground clearance. The Subaru Crosstrek, Subaru Forester, and Subaru Outback, without being a huge SUV, they have the most ground clearance of any vehicle out there on the market. So they have a ground clearance of 8.7 inches, which is quite a lot, and even some SUVs don't even have that, because a lot of SUVs, there's like pipes and stuff hanging down below that. So for the gas mileage and for it being a smaller vehicle, it is definitely one of the highest ground clearances that I could find. However, I do wish I had higher ground clearance, especially when I'm driving in snow, because there are so many higher vehicles such as Jeeps and 4Runners that do go on those back roads when it's snowy, and they make the tire tracks very wide. You know, Jeeps and 4Runners are wider vehicles, obviously, than my Crosstrek. So their tire tracks are going to be very wide, and then my car comes in and then I don't fit in their tire tracks, which then is unfortunate because I am scraping the sides of my tires, and because they are higher vehicles making the tracks, I'm also scraping my undercarriage. So obviously I'm not going to change my habits. I'm still going to go out in the snow and get to trailheads even when it's snowy. So my solution for this is to get my car lifted. In a couple of years, when I have to get new tires, I will also get my vehicle lifted. I'll get a 2-inch lift, which will be very nice, and then I will have 10.7 inches of ground clearance and brand new off-road tires, which will be awesome. Now that I have the Crosstrek, my dream vehicle is the Toyota 4Runner, but that is not something I can afford anytime soon.
E&W Adventures and Gear Reviews from YouTube asked, once you get to Bend, what will be your top 3 trails to hike first?
I guess it depends on when I move, but I think one of the first ones that I'll be doing is Tam MacArthur Rim, because that is a hike I've been waiting to do for years now. It's just one that I was not willing to drive 3 hours to go do, because it's not even 5 miles, I think. So very short, just not worth the drive from Eugene. So that is one I plan on doing first. There was a hike that I got to do like halfway when I was over there last year in May, but there was just too much snow still, so we weren't able to finish that loop and had to do like a weird out and back. So I plan on doing that one again, and that was called Lookout Mountain. That'll be one of the first ones I do again over there. There'll probably be wildflowers by the time I get over there, so that'll be probably perfect timing. And then one of the other ones I want to do right away is probably Summit South Sister, just because it's easier to do when there's still a little bit of snow left. The later you wait in the season, the harder it gets. Probably those 3 are some of the first hikes that I will do when I'm in the area.
OC6088 from YouTube asks, would love to see a video/explanation on how you hooked up your water tube from your water bladder to use on water bottles. You briefly touched on it on your PCT prep video, but still don't understand how you set it up.
So I'm so glad I got this question, because I totally forgot about this whole thing and promising to show you guys. I'm so sorry. So I'm so glad you asked, and I will show you now. So basically what I did for my water system on the PCT, and everyone was really curious about it because they hadn't seen it before, is I took a smart water bottle with the sports cap. So you have to get one with a sports cap. And the difference between the regular and the sports cap is just that it has this little nozzle on it. The regular one just has a screw-off lid. So you want to get a sports cap, right? And then what you want to do is you want to get a bladder hose. So Osprey actually sells these separate from their water bladders. So you can actually just buy a hose. And the cool thing about this one is that I bought one that disconnects in the middle. So there you go. It disconnects here in the middle, and I highly recommend that. Makes it a little bit easier. But even if you just get the hose part with the little nozzle that you drink out of, if you just get the hose with that, you'll be totally fine. So have my hose, right? Have my smart water bottle with the sports cap. So then basically I just took the sports cap and I drilled it to be a little bit bigger, right? So if you see that, it's kind of a little bit malformed versus this one here, right? So all I did was drill this hole to be a little bit bigger, not huge, because you want to make sure that your hose fits in it snugly. If it's not a snug fit, whenever you lean over, because your water bottle is going to be upright in your backpack, like in your side pouches. So whenever you lean over, water will dribble out here. So you want to make sure that it's a snug fit. So just drill a little bit, try to see if you can put the hose in. If not, drill a little bit more and then see if the hose fits. So my hose is actually really snug. I can't even move it. And then that's the cap. Then I just take, now granted this is a really small water bottle. I usually have this in a big 1 liter, but basically then you just stick your hose in here and you screw your top on, and there you go. Now you can stick this in your side pouch of your backpack, right? And it's like a water bladder, except it's not a water bladder. And then you drink out of your hose. I'm one of those people that will not drink water if it's not convenient. So if it's just in a water bottle, I will not drink it. I have to have the hose. So if you're like that, this is a nice little weight saver, because the water bladder, first of all, is really hard to filter water into, and it's also much heavier when you're backpacking. So basically why this is important, to me at least, the little detachment part, is because the hose goes through like a few straps on my shoulder strap to keep the hose flat, like onto the strap. So I don't want to have to finagle it in and out of those tight straps every time I filter water. So I basically just detach this. This stays on my strap, and then I just take my water bottle and I do my little filtering process. So that's how I do that. It's really easy. I absolutely loved this system on my backpacking trips. It's really, really easy for me, and it works really well.
Oregon Northwest Pacific Outdoors from Instagram inquires, what's your next tattoo?
So my next tattoo, I'm actually really excited about it. I know in my last Q&A, I said that I wasn't gonna get a tattoo in 2019, but that has gone out the window, and I'm definitely getting another tattoo in 2019. And it is going to be on this arm, which connects with my most recent tattoo I got about a year ago. So this tattoo is like right here, so it's gonna kind of wrap around the outside of my arm, and it's going to be various types of ferns, and I'm getting that because I'm moving away from the Willamette Valley, and ferns are one of the things that I will miss greatly about living in this area. So I decided to get a couple of different types of ferns, and one of the ferns is actually going to represent how many years I've lived in the Willamette Valley. So you know how they have the little like leaf separations? I will get the number of leaves as the number of years that I've lived here in the Willamette Valley.
Spencer T from YouTube asked, favorite backpacking trail in Oregon that takes longer than a day?
So my favorite backpacking trail so far that I've done in Oregon, you know, there are so many that I have not yet explored. So the one that I have done so far, and one that I highly recommend, is the Three Sisters Loop. And depending on what side trips you do from the loop, because there are various side trips you can do to visit different lakes, you can also summit South Sister from there, which is fun. So depending on what side excursions you do, it is about 60 miles. So that will definitely be longer than a one-day trip, and I highly, highly recommend that loop. There's also a loop that goes around Diamond Peak, which is really beautiful, and there are a bunch of lakes and stuff around that area. Another one that I highly recommend is the loop around Three Finger Jack, but that's only about 21 miles. So depending on how many miles a day you want to do, that could be a 1 or 2 night trip as well.
Johnny Mac from YouTube asks, how is your InReach Mini working out? Are you happy with it? Cost versus peace of mind? Do you use it much?
So this has been an awesome purchase. How is it working out? I say it's been working out perfectly. And yes, I'm very, 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 very happy with it. The cost versus peace of mind, it's just not even a thing I think about. The peace of mind is so amazing to have, and I didn't really realize how much I thought about things happening or how much I worried about it until that worry was gone because I have one of these. Now, there are still situations where I'm like, okay, this could happen and this isn't going to help me, but for the most part, I feel way more confident going into remote places where my car could possibly get stuck, or like, I mean, I don't do anything like crazy, obviously, but you know, places where my car could easily get a flat tire. Or just the other day we did some crazy traversing over some really gnarly terrain that was wilderness. We were miles and miles and miles away from anything. And in situations like that, I really do think about this and how it could help me and how important this really is, because just having this and knowing that I have it is huge. And then I haven't taken it on a backpacking trip, but I think that's where I will use it the most, because I can just message my husband every single day and just check in. He knows where I am. He knows set up camp for the day. He knows everything is going well. And then the last question was, do I use it much? Yes, I use it every time I go hiking, unless I have service. Like if I have service at the trailhead, I will quickly text my husband the message that I would normally text him on here saying, hey, we're heading out on the trail. But it is better to do it with this because then it pings the location. So even if you do have service, probably use this because then your location is noted. It has also come in handy a few times when we were heading to or from a trailhead, but there was a cool place to stop that we wanted to check out. So that's where this is nice, because yes, he knows where I'm going on the day hike, but he does not know if we are stopping to check out something else, like a cool site or something. So that's when this has come in handy as well.
707 Sunflower from Instagram asks, what is your favorite or most used piece of hiking gear?
So you all probably know by now that my favorite and most used piece of gear is my sit pad. I absolutely love this thing. I use it so much on my day hikes and it's just really handy. It's $15, the best $15 on gear I have ever spent in my entire life. So I highly recommend this, and I've talked about it so much, so I wanted to mention another piece of gear that now is one of my most used. It's new to me, but it has quickly become my most used piece of gear because I pee a lot. I have probably the smallest bladder ever, and I pee all the time when I'm hiking. So my new, most used, and favorite piece of gear is my Kula pee cloth. It looks like this. It is super awesome. I'm gonna do a whole video about it, so I'm not gonna say too many things about it because I will have an entire video on this. But I think it's really awesome because I don't have to take toilet paper. I don't have to, you know, pack it in and pack it out. I just don't have to take toilet paper and deal around with that. This hangs on my backpack. It's really cool because you can clip it closed like that, so the side that you're wiping with isn't all over your backpack. They have some really, really cute designs. This is their mountain design right here, and I love it. It is one of the best things ever. This side is antimicrobial, so it does not smell or anything like that. And then this side makes it so that anything wet does not transfer through, which is really nice. You don't have to worry about getting your hands covered in pee. Highly, highly recommend the Kula cloth. It is, like I said, one of my favorite and most used pieces of gear over the past couple of months that I've had this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this long Q&A. If you are still here, you rock. If you have any other questions for me, go ahead and comment them below, and I will definitely write them down for future question and answer videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next adventure.